Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And I have Shawnise Channell here with me today. And welcome, Shawnise, to High Road to Humanity.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
I am happy you're here. You guys, I want you to sit back and relax. She's written this book, God Within the Lily. This is what it looks like. But I want you guys to understand what we're going to be talking about today, because she had a near-death experience, and she has a lot to tell us about what happened when she left her body. But here's what she says. She was plucked from life for 20 minutes. She was a new mother. She says she didn't mean to die, but she's thankful that God agreed. So as healing took place in her earth suit, so began the metamorphism. The old me died, Shawnise reveals, and what was born is the me that God intended me to be. How wonderful. So God Within the Lily is dedicated to those who left an imprint, she says, on her heart during her time of sickness and recovery. She says she's forever grateful for God's grace, mercy, and faithfulness. She said, when I needed light in the darkness, I put my faith in him, my miracle worker, and lily in the valley. Wow. You know, I read this. This was crazy. I mean, I told you I cried through part of it because I just was like, whoa. But I want you to tell the audience your story.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me, Nancy. I'm so happy to be here. It all began, so at an early age, I always faced many challenges and been through part because I was a teenage mom. And so I went to high school, graduated from college, and then I ended up 16 years later, while working at my dream job, I found out by surprise that I was pregnant. And then 1 year later, I end up having another one, so another young girl. So now this is 3 children. So when I went into deliver the third child, I opted in for a tubal ligation. The delivery was very natural. It was beautiful. After I delivered the baby girl, without having skin to skin and also breastfeeding her, I went straight to the operating room to go ahead and get the tubes tied.
Okay.
And so what they told me, I would be back within 20 minutes so I could come back and breastfeed that baby, because I want to do everything as a new mom because this is what my last child.
Right.
And so, but the surgery took an hour and 20 minutes versus 20. I really didn't realize at the time what was going on. I went into a regular room. My medical record stated that within 48 hours, they ended up doing an NG tube because I kept complaining that my abdomen was hurting.
Right.
I knew this particular feeling, it was different. It was very, very painful. And it was something that I kept voicing that it's not gas, it's something going wrong here.
Mhm.
And I was very healthy, jumping out of airplanes, super, super healthy.
Right.
So me having this kind of pain was kind of alarming. And so they did an NG tube as well as a feed tube because I just decided not to eat because I was hurting so badly, and then I wasn't going to the restroom in order to go home. So I figured I was getting bagged up. And so made it to the 6th day. The 6th day is when my family was really very concerned because I was very, very hot. They put an ice pack on me, still didn't work. They moved by the vent. I was just burning up. My sister stated, she come from a medical background. She stated, I believe that Nisi is my nickname that my family know me by. They say, so she said, I believe Nisi has an infection. My mom said, you know what, you're right, because she's come from a medical background as well.
Right.
And so they voiced it to the nurse about, an infection. The nurse called the doctor. The doctor stated, well, he's going home for today and he will look into my symptoms the following morning.
Oh,
Nurse
wow.
came back and told my mom that, and she she looked in my eyes. She knew I wasn't going to make it to the following day because she know me.
Right.
And so she said, I don't care who you call, whether it be a different doctor or that same doctor, but you guys need to do something right away. Thankfully, they listened to her because they ended up doing a CT scan. The CT scan showed that I had fecal matter. And from there, I went into emergency exploratory surgery. And so as a surgeon, opened me up very, very fastly because, like I said, I was going downhill. So they had to do like a nasty cut,
Right.
immediate cut. And so as she was exploring my abdomen, she noticed a leaky bowel. So she noticed a hole within my intestine.
Oh my
And then
God.
she noticed several abscesses. So now we're going against time because my organs are starting to shut down at this point. But she ended up doing a wound vac, and I had several drainage in my abdomen. Once the surgery was over, I went into CCU, and that's when cultures revealed that I had 3 deadly infections.
So
And
can
so,
I stop you a second? Can I just ask something? So from what I can gather, and I just want to make sure I understand this properly, when they went in to tie your tubes, basically, then something happened.
right.
Because how did all of this,
Yeah, obviously something happened.
something happened?
I was still underneath the epidural, and there were
Right.
things that I didn't feel the pain, but obviously something happened. I believe that she was using a scope or something to tie my tubes with, and she must have
Punctured the,
she must have poked my intestines in the process of tying the tubes. And from there, because obviously the surgery went from a 20-minute surgery to an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm not sure
right. What
what
happened?
really took place. That's still like question mark, right?
Okay, because that's where my question, I'm like, wait a minute, that's when it happened, but she did something.
So
Anyway, go
all I know
ahead.
is they was taking so long that it concerned my family.
Sure.
And they was like, what's going on? Because the baby is crying. They ready for me to come back so I can breastfeed. I'm supposed to take 20 minutes. And so that's when my family was really getting concerned, like, why is surgery taking so long? What's going on?
Right, right. Okay. So then they go in for the emergency surgery and they realize that you've got a hole
Uh-huh.
in the intestine.
Right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so they had to take my intestines out, clean it out and everything.
Oh my God.
Because they didn't even know there was a leaky bowel at that point. They were just exploring.
Okay.
They just saw the fecal matter on the skin, and then that's what prompts the surgery. So they had to open me up in order to explore where this fecal matter is coming from, right?
Sure.
And so after they did the wound vac and they did the drainage, as far as the draining the infection, that's when I went to CCU, and then that's when they said I had 3 deadly infections. Now we're talking about a lot of antibiotics. It's like doubling up on antibiotics because I'm becoming septic. So I became like throwing up my bowels, which was so disgusting. And things got better, then they got worse. It's like a domino effect. So when things got better, I made it to the floor. And then once I made it to the floor, they said I had double pneumonia. And I figured my lungs was already weak. So I didn't think I was going to survive that because my lungs was already it was already shutting down. And so, but I survived that because they was turning me back and forth, and I did a little walking. And then from there, on my birthday, as I was still in the hospital, see, I was expected to go home like 3 days. I only was going to go to the hospital and have my baby. I didn't know I was going to stay 54 days.
54 days you were there. Yeah.
So I never did come back home. And my 16-year-old, she was at home taking care of that 1-year-old. And it was so unfortunate for me. I felt very, very horrible because I was a mother at 16 and I didn't want my daughter to ever experience that.
Right.
So now back to the hospital. On my birthday, I was having a hard time breathing.
And that's
And
July when was your birthday? July or
it was August 16th.
August 16th. Okay. It was your birthday. And so you knew you were going to go home soon.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know I expected to go home like after I delivered and the tubes tied.
Right.
But I didn't know why I was kept staying there at that time. until I began to feel very, very sick. So there was no thought of when I was ever going to go home. And so once I made it to the floor and I had that pneumonia, then my birthday is when they said I had congestive heart failure, renal failure, upper respiratory failure.
So
we talk about no cakes and ice cream on this birthday.
I know. So you write in the book, that the doctor walks in and he asks you how you're feeling. And then that's when you went into cardiac arrest. Is that right?
That's right. So after we passed this board, so I made it to the point of we're getting close to the halfway mark, and it was like a normal day. And so a nurse told me, well, Shawnise, if you're ready to go home, you got to self-advocate for yourself. Just let them know, you feel like you're ready to go home. And so I had about 7 doctors, and I started just working from the time that I saw that first doctor. Was like 4:00 in the morning is when he made his early rounds. And I made it all the way through all my doctors to get the go ahead that I was going to go home. And so they prepped me to go home the following day to get discharged finally. And so my family was there, and then they left. My sister said she'll be back in the morning to pick me up and take me home.
Okay.
Well, as she approached her driveway, she get a call saying to hurry back because I flatlined, and she was wondering, like, she just left me. I was fine and everything, like flatline. So she was very nervous. So she was rushing back. And this time, I had a heart monitor on, and the heart monitor read something funky, which prompted doctors and nurses to come in and see about me. And so my heart went to regular rhythm, and then they left the room. Well, 15 minutes later, I was going into ventricular cardiac arrest. And so it prompted them like to hurry up and get back in there. I remember hearing one doctor say, I just left her. I remember hearing a nurse state that, oh my gosh, she just had a baby. And so once they came in, I was alert. But a few minutes before, I kept on hearing in my spirit, somebody better come get her, somebody better come get her, see about her, because she's about to transition. So I heard that in the back of my mind. But as they came to me and they asked me how I was doing, immediately I seen them, but I couldn't respond immediately. That's when I flatlined. Okay. And as soon as I flatlined, I said, that's weird. My body is there, but I'm here. And then I realized I just died. I didn't mean to die because it was so easy. It was so
like above your body at that point.
Now, at that point, I don't remember going above my body, but I knew I was in a separate place other than my body.
Gotcha.
So I was at a certain place other than my body. And that's where I realized I just died. So then that's when I started to feel anxiety, like I was leaving my family. And I was gone. And so, but soon after, which was very, very quick, I began to feel a presence of warm. I began to feel free. I began to float towards this light in this tunnel. And within, as I was transitioning to the afterlife, the doctors, they was doing like 5 shocks. They were doing the Lucas device that was doing the CPR. And so to try to keep the oxygen flowing, because my body already just shut down. So we're talking about within 20 minutes, I'm transitioning. As I'm in this tunnel, there's this bright light at the end, and I heard don't go towards the light, but you have no choice going towards light because the light was drawing you towards it. It was pulling you.
It pulls you. Okay.
It pulls you. And so as it was pulling me, I began to hear instrumental music. I began to see futuristic colors. I felt as though I was in a deep sleep. I was already tired anyway, and I wasn't getting much sleep in the hospital. So this is the type of sleep that if you finally get it, like that one sleep that you've been longing for and you don't want to wake up, that's really how that felt. And so went into like a deep sleep. And as I approached the light, I'm thinking to myself, okay, Jesus is the truth and the light, because that's where my background comes from. So I'm about to meet Jesus. And at that point, I became okay. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't thirsty. I didn't know about the 20 minutes earthly time that was passing, because over there was no sense of time. Everything was fast. There was no notion. It's like time didn't even exist.
Yeah, you say at one point, and I find this really interesting, and I wanted to bring it up in your book. You say there was no need to turn around when you were going in the tunnel to look behind you because everything was in your peripheral vision.
Right. Even when I was going through the tunnel, I can see everything. Like, I'm legally blind.
Oh,
And
wow.
so even crossing over, I was able to see so clearly.
Okay.
And when I'm looking forward, I don't have to look behind because I can see everything.
Wow.
And when I made it to light, it's like the light consumed me as though I became a part of the light. And so when I became part of the light, that's when I started to when I went to another level as far as seeing things. Once I made it there, I was going towards, like, I wasn't thinking of it as clouds, and I was hearing prayers. So I was hearing people praying up on
I
my,
know,
like,
I wanted to talk about that too, because this really hit me hard because I'm really into energy. And you say in here, you could see and hear the prayers floating by.
right. So still to my memory, I can see the prayers to me looked like they were in like a text message, like on your phone.
Right?
And I couldn't really pin out what was being said. I just knew that I can hear the prayer. So I know prayers reaches the ears of God. So I knew a lot of people was praying up on my behalf.
So let me
Um,
understand this. I just need to understand this because this is something that really blew my mind, honestly, Shanice. So, because I'm so into energy and I'm so into prayer and God. And when you said this, I know one thing for sure, God hears our prayers.
yes,
That's when you knew because they're praying for you down below on earth. You're up in the light and you can see them floating by. So the
right. So, and I'm passing them by, and I can hear them. I can hear their prayers in my ear. And then I was so amazed because
wow.
I love birthdays, right? I love
Right.
gifts. So I couldn't believe, I know I'm a good person, but I couldn't believe how many people were praying. Like, it was surprising to me, like, this is
Right.
all for me. They're praying up on my behalf because
Right.
I'm not in control anymore. I'm not in control of what's happening here. I couldn't turn around, pull myself back. And
Did you never
so
saw an angel or a guide or any family members or
um
anything like that?
I'm sure I probably did. But what I remember next was going into a garden, and I remember this one particular flower was pulsating, and I can see the light between. I can see how it's like the energy was flowing from the root up to the flower,
Mhm.
and I realized everything was alive, as though everything had its own soul, trees and flower. And as it was like moving, it was mesmerizing to me. Because let's think about it. It's like something you never seen before, and a flower just moving, that you never seen, like, it's alive.
Right.
So
And
and
there was a
so
color. Yeah.
the flower began to talk.
Oh my God.
So without my mouth moving, I understood what was being said
Do you
within my mind.
remember, do you remember what it said?
I'm not sure in particular what it said. I just know it was like a rebirth. I just know it was more speaking. I know when over there I understood everything that was going on.
Right.
And I think a lot of that memory is still there, but what I share is what I can recall, that I believe that's what's important for me to share, the things that I remember about the flower. But I'm not sure what was being said. I just know that it was more of a purpose. It was more of a rebirth because when I came back, they put me in induced coma for 48 hours. And I can hear my mom like grace my face, like, wake up, baby, open your eyes. And so I realized I was close to her. They didn't know if I was going to become a vegetable or not because, 20 minutes then passed when my heart stopped.
Right.
But I
I want
came
to,
to,
can I stop you really quick? The only thing I
absolutely.
wanted to bring up that you said the flower was like burgundy color,
Right. It was like a reddish burgundy. And
like
it was
something you'd never seen before.
and it was like I always I love flowers.
Yeah.
I believe that God was showing me things that I can that I'm familiar with, like flowers. So he came in a form to me as a flower.
I got,
So so whatever you may like, people say, well, Lord send me a sign, right? The sign
right.
that he may send you, someone else may not see it as a sign because they may not get it.
Gotcha.
But you would know that sign is for you. And so
Gotcha.
I believe he appeared to me in a form of a flower because I love flowers. And it was like a reddish, it was between burgundy and dark reddish, you know. And so but I knew it was a lily flower. Which is why I named the book God Within a Lily.
I
So
know.
even when I came back to this body, I felt like I was suctioning. I feel like I didn't have a choice but to come back. Once I made it over there, it was like I didn't want to I don't think I wanted to return. I think I was in between. I know I had kids, but I was seeing something so miraculous and amazing. I did not want to return. I wanted to explore more.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
I felt like I was happy and free, and it was just all mesmerizing. But when I suctioned back into this body, even now I don't feel connected to it. I feel like it's just a body that's scarred, and I feel like it's just a shell. Like
Mm.
I don't know who I am, you know. I got to know my spirit outside of my body. So with this body feel weighted. When I left this body, I felt so much the weight was lifted. I felt so light.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
that it seemed like this body is like so much weight for my soul. It really is. And so yeah, so I know
How cool.
um it's all like it's different to me. You
Mm.
know, it's the and
When
so
you
yeah,
traveled
everybody
back, now when you traveled back, you said it was like time travel when you went back into your body. That what was that like? Do you remember any of that?
I felt that it was fast. I felt it was like I felt that it was like a fast suction into the body. I don't feel that I came back and laid on top. I feel that I jumped from one place to the other very, very quickly.
Gotcha.
And because over there, it was no time. I didn't know like 20 minutes has gone in earthly time. Because I can imagine if someone passed away 5 years ago, over there, you don't even know you passed away 5 years ago, right? Because there was no notion of time. It was like you were just there. There was no notion. You don't know. You don't know.
Right, right.
I
20
didn't even
minutes is a
know that.
long time to be your heart to stop. That's a long time to be gone and come back. Were they surprised you came back?
I'm sure they was. A lot of people when I tell about my story, a lot of them say, even nurses, is like, I don't know how you survived that with all of these medical alignments. And then you left because this body had, like I say, it was become septic, it had just all these diseases and everything. And then for me to come back, that's where the miracle comes in at because it's a surprise. You don't expect for someone to come back from something like this.
Right, right. Exactly. Well, and so you're back in your body now, and the nurses come in and everyone comes in. And how long were you in the hospital recovering after this?
So altogether, it was 54 days. And my birthday is, and it's crazy because my birthday is on August 16th. But when I flatlined, it was August 28th, which is a week after. So this is my rebirth. So I have two birthdays within 1 month.
Okay.
And so after I flatlined, so from August the 28th, so I flatlined, I was discharged on September the 11th, 2019.
Right, right. I read that. Okay. Now, it took you a long time to recover, though. At home, you had a home nurse.
I had a home nurse. This was all totally new because I was working at the Arkansas Heart, so I was very independent. And for me to go home to have a home nurse, someone that had to change me, someone that had to hook me up, and then I had the help of my dad because he was my caregiver. But everything was totally new. I couldn't sit on the toilet. I couldn't like bathe. I couldn't even when I held my baby, I had IV in one arm. So they sent me home with a life vest. and the IV for heart, as well as the wound bag. So I had like big old long cords all connected to me. And
Crazy.
so yeah, so it's like I still had to jump back within motherhood, being extremely sick, because my motherhood didn't stop. I still had that 16-year-old, that 1-year-old, and now that newborn. And
Right.
even though within this time, I had to give, on the third day, being in the hospital, I had to give that newborn, send that newborn to her first time dad. And because I was a single parent within the pregnancy. And
Mm.
so it was I didn't really have a choice. So it felt like that baby was being ripped from, because I didn't know if I was going to ever see her again.
Right.
I
Right.
was so sick. And I knew that things around me looked bad. And I still had my faith, even as small as a mustard seed, but I knew there was going to be two ways for me to make it out. Either I was going to die making it out of here, because I was like ready to get out the hospital, or I was going to go home and not be the same way as I came in.
Right.
And so, but both things has happened. I died, and then also I went home. And so that's the glory of it all. But yeah, so the home health, I had home health, matter of fact, for a couple of months.
You had the life vest explode. Tell about that.
Girl. So, okay, so they sent me home with the life vest because they couldn't do the pacemaker in the hospital because I had an infection.
Right.
And then they they gave me a life vest. And my dad and I was like approaching home, and I ran in the house because something was weird about this life vest. I was getting hot, and something felt like it was burning, right? And so I hurry up and ripped that life vest off, and it had a bunch of the gushy stuff, and the wire must have touched the gel, and that's how my back got burned. And then it's crazy because they had to come out. It didn't go off because of my heart. It just malfunctioned, you know?
Right. Right. I can't
So,
believe it.
and so I'm already freaked out about that, because I'm going through all these things now. I have a life vest explode. Now you got to give me another life vest. And so a nurse came out to give me another life vest. And it's crazy because this is a nurse that I truly, truly love. I worked with her, and she didn't even know, like, she never been to my house before. Right. So she was happy to see me. She didn't know it was like actually me, like a coworker.
Right. I read that, and she comforted you.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And because I was already nervous, and because this thing exploded, and then my back was burnt as well. And so from there, I end up getting, well, after I had E. coli, stroke-like symptoms, and all of that. I end up getting a pacemaker on December the 4th. And I believe that the home health services stopped on January 2020. Because from there, my sister was able to do the rest, like she was able to do like the IVs and the flushing, and my dad was able to change out the batteries. I mean, it took a team. My
To
mom,
do
my
it.
dad, my sister. It took everybody, and they don't come from a background of being, as far as being the actual nurse. I mean, or really everything was new. They had to learn. I had to learn how to change out the light vest and everything. But when I went into cardiac arrest, I was told, well, my medical records said that they ended up giving me something to like wipe off the memory, because it was
Yes. Yeah, I
it was
read that.
horrific. Just think about that, a medicine that can wipe out your memory. That's crazy. But early 2020, I began to, because it didn't really hit me until this time. I didn't even know that I have seen the afterlife, because I really didn't believe that I died anyway, right? Until the following year, that I saw a lady was getting CPR on television. And immediately when they was doing a CPR, that triggered everything. Everything came back to me. The emotions was coming, the depression, the anxiety, the feeling worthless, like I was no longer a good mom. And then I just start seeing everything that was happening in the afterlife, as well as remember some things in the hospital. And that's where it came with my dad figured I became so sad that he recommended that I see a psychiatrist. And I was thinking, well, Daddy, I'm not crazy, you know. So he recommended I see a psychiatrist. I ended up seeing a counselor who referred me to a psychiatrist as well that was in the same location. And she diagnosed me with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Um, and so I needed help to cope with what happened, the trauma, the living the rest of my life with congestive heart failure, with this pacemaker, the fear of being shocked, not knowing when you're going to be shocked, and the fear of dying. It's not that I wasn't scared to die. Even now, I'm afraid to go to sleep, but it's the fact that I'm not ready to. I want to be able to raise these babies.
Right.
That's the thing. And I know that I'm going there one day. So
Right.
because I've been there before, it was like, okay, well, it's just Paul because I'm gonna go back. So, but I don't want to go back anytime soon. But I'm glad that I went to heaven. I'm glad that I can return.
Yeah.
And so after several sessions, the psychiatrist recommended, she also did it for the book. She recommended that I write everything down and that I write a book, because every time I speak to her, it was always something new that will reveal.
Oh, okay.
And she said that she needs, don't come back the next time without anything written down. So I went home and I just wrote everything down, was no organization skill or anything like that. And it was kind of tough because I had to reflect on a bunch of those emotions.
Right. Well, that's why she wanted you to do it. Yeah.
So, and luckily I was seeing her the following week, because those emotions after it came out, I'm like, I need to see you again because I'm sad.
Yeah.
This is the depressing. It was depressing. And I remember one time, girl, that I was at home all the time. I'm used to being on the go. I'm not used to, the hospital was draining and I didn't even see the sunlight for a while. And so for me to finally come home, I figured that it was supposed to be like the way I left it. Like my bed is going to be soft, but no, everything felt hard. It felt uncomfortable. I had to get something to knock myself out to go to sleep because I still felt like I was still in a hospital. I still felt like that even my bed was like a hospital bed. And so I decided, with the cords, with the life vest at that time, the IV, as well as the wound vac, I was like, well, I'm going to drive my car. I'm just going to,
I know. You're going to get in your car and drive. I read this.
And my dad and my sister, they were not happy because they said I'm not ready to. And then I was under medication and I should have known better anyway. But I just wanted to get on my own. I just wanted to get away from the house.
Right.
And so as I was traveling to my destination, my battery began to beep. And this was the battery for the IV. And if the IV stops, the IV pump stopped because of the battery, so that the medicine won't go to my heart and my heart can stop just like that. And so as it was beeping, I'm driving fast, trying to turn around, driving fast, trying to get home. And the cop pulled me over.
Oh my gosh.
Lord. And so he pulled me over, of course, license and registration, right? And so then I still had the IV connected to my arm so you can see it. I'm like, sir, I'm trying to get home because my battery is beeping. And if I don't get home right away, my heart can stop. And so he said, he flagged me and told me just to be careful, whatever. We didn't even go no further. But that was a lesson learned, because what happened, even if my heart would have stopped, I'm putting everybody else at risk, And
well, yeah, that was like God's saying, get back home.
Get back home, like you ain't ready, so you got to trust the process. It was hard for me to trust the process of healing.
Right.
Because even though my mind says yes, my body says no. Just like my mind said, well, she needs you ready to go home. But they was probably keeping me so long in the hospital because they knew that I wasn't going to be prepared to go home. It was going to be totally different. But I didn't know I wasn't going to be prepared to go home. And so, but just think that if I would have went home that following day, I would never had that immediate CPR. My babies would have been here. I probably would not be here.
Right.
I probably would not be here. And so God made everything happen in a hospital around the doctors and the nurses. And the doctor did not let up. Some doctors may stop at maybe 5 to 7 minutes because they figure maybe she brain dead or whatever. But this particular doctor, he was so confident that he can bring me back, and he did. He did everything in his power.
Wow. Wow.
Did everything in his power
Now,
because he knew I had so many families that was already sad, and he knew like it was just horrific.
right, right. Now, I want to know, obviously, you have a different connection with God at this point.
Mm. Yes. It's more so of the love that I feel. Like there's no love here on earth that really compare. You know, you have love for your mother, your daughter, your sister, but that particular love I never found, and I felt it, and it's like I always wanted, you know. And it's one thing to confess God within your mouth, but it's another thing to actually feel it and go to where He's at.
Right.
And so it's pure love, you know. And when I speak of God, it's so amazing because I feel like I can still channel that location. There are times I feel like I can still channel within heaven. Even though I'm here, I can still go within my spirit and channel that experience. And
Right.
I can feel that love.
That love. Wow.
To actually get to know your spiritual self. Even when I crossed over, I didn't even look down to see my body because I felt as though I was air and light. And
Which
I felt that I was new. I didn't feel that I was a certain age. I just felt
free.
new. Yeah, I felt young and new, and because it was amazing. Because, like I say, I'm legally blind, so for me to be able to see things was mind blowing.
Wow. That
And
is
I did not feel the compressions. I did not feel the CPR that broke my ribs. And when I came back, the the impression of the machine was left on my chest. And every time I do hot and cold pack, my skin would go along with it, so my chest became raw. That's how many voltage those 5 shocks is, you know.
wow.
And girl,
That
it
is,
was
yeah, this is just crazy.
horrific.
You know, in one way, and I know this may sound strange, but as I'm listening to you and as I'm seeing you today, I mean, in one way, this was a huge blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you look
Yeah.
at it like that now? I mean, you got to see, you got to feel God's love. I mean, and you're not afraid. And you've told all these people, and now you're telling my audience. And you know what? People need to hear this.
And you know, it's really everything's been such a blessing because I was unable to walk. When I made it home, I was able to swallow, to talk. I began to feel like I was anyway, when I crossed over, I went from darkness into light, kind of like a baby being born.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I came out the hospital, I was back to a baby state. Need to be careful, but I was talking like a little baby. You know, I was just babbling. So,
Okay.
so that's when I went to the hospital and said I had stroke-like symptoms. So they caught that in time. But I went weeks without being able to speak, but I was always babbling, maybe singing in my mind to try to move my vocals so my vocals won't be paralyzed to no muscle movement. And over time, I went from the big walker to the cane, and it was just every week I was showing signs of improvement.
Right. Do you feel like this happened so that you could tell your story so that other people would realize that there is a God, that there is a heaven?
Absolutely, absolutely. Everything happens for a reason.
Right.
And for me to be gone 20 minutes and to come back, you know, only God gets the glory, right?
Yeah.
It has to be because
Well, that's what I'm sitting here thinking. I'm like, because look at you today, you know, and let me just ask you, what are you doing today? I mean, what's your life like now?
glad you asked. Well, today I just love seeing my babies. I love seeing them waking up, seeing them. Like I can really, with time, I can
No,
see
it's
every
Naomi,
little.
right? Naomi
Yeah,
Grace.
I have Naomi Grace and I have Kenzie Elise, and then my oldest daughter is Alexis Kiera. But I don't think about time anymore because every little second I can see every little thing that goes on with them. And so really, I never knew that I was going to write a book because I come from a medical background,
Right.
and so everything is totally new that I'm learning, the authorship and everything. And I figured, yeah, that's just a story, and it became like a book. And that particular face of the story with Naomi, me and her share the same birthday. Well, our birthday's 2 days apart.
Wow.
And when I was supposed to make it back home after delivering Naomi, I was going to have an extravagant first birthday for her.
Yeah.
And so, but since I missed her first birthday and I already had these Princess Jasmine stuff and the party stuff and wasn't able to use it that following year, I was like, we're going to use some of this stuff. And so we did a photo shoot with the Princess Jasmine theme. And that's how my publisher.
That's where this came from?
That's where that came from. So that was actually our birthday photo shoot.
Yeah, you guys, the book is called God Within the Lily, and it's by Shawnise Channell. And it's her story. It's the death and resurrection of me. And so I want you guys to pick this up. I mean, I don't want to give everything away. You do give, there's a place in the back where you give people to journal. I love this.
Yes.
And I want you to talk about this because I am such a big advocate on journaling. And do you still journal?
Yes, I still journal. I learned that by writing stuff down, it really helps with healing.
Mm-hmm.
It's self-healing. And I realized that the book is so impactful, comes with so emotions that you want to immediately write them down. And you can always reflect on it, but when you write your feelings down right away, it's a more change in it. It's a more, because the book has so much stuff in it, and it's going to bring out different emotions. It's going to make you cry. It's going to make you smile. It's going to make you feel grateful. It has a lot of things of love. And so I wanted to have a space where people can immediately after they read, they can just write everything down.
Yeah.
And they can always revisit it, because you could take what I've been through and you can say, well, my life is not as bad right now.
Right.
But I want to be something different. I thank you, God, for this or that. I want to do better, or write down your blessings. I mean, the journal can be so many things. It could be your form of healing.
Right. I thought that as I was reading it, I think I have stuff going on. Wow. I had nothing going on compared to what you went through and what you've overcome. I mean, and by the grace of God, he wanted you to live, and he wanted you to tell your story, and he wanted you to
I didn't even know my purpose. Like, that's crazy, because I always wanted to know my purpose. Now, I didn't want to know it, right?
Yeah.
But I never knew I was living in this world. I was always fearless anyway. Now I'm fearful. But I was always fearless. Like, I want to live every second to the fullest.
Right.
That way, when I get older, I can bathe in my memories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, and I was always, really focused on time and stuff like that. And I just want to, I was just really focused on time. And so I just decided that to go ahead and put the journal up there, so people can really write down everything that they would like to say and their feelings and everything.
Right. As far as time goes, you look at things differently now.
Absolutely. Because I was already living a life of fun and everything to my fullest, and now it's just back to just being scared of being shocked and being cautious and everything. But it's just, it's a day by day process.
Have you had anybody come to you and tell you that it's changed their life by hearing your story?
I had many. Yeah, I had many. And I have many occasions where if I'm in public, like I would tell you this. I went to the doctor and I had some type of testing that was being done. It was a older lady. She might have been within about 80s or 90s. And she was a volunteer. Well, she wasn't familiar as far as getting me one place to the next. But anyway, was in the same location. I sat down and I listened to her because she was more talkative.
Yeah.
And then it led me to telling her about my story. And when I was speaking to her, she said, you know what? you wouldn't know this, but I just seen a YouTube of you last night. And she said, I lost my husband. And for you to tell me that you didn't have any pain and no suffering, she just went to tears.
Yeah.
Because she was thinking that her husband passed away in pain.
Right, right. And you don't. And that's so
No,
comforting.
it's such an easy transition. You don't even know. You hear one day and go to the next. It's just like that. I did not feel the shocks. Nothing. No pain, no nothing.
And for the people who don't believe that there's life after this, I mean, have you woken anybody up?
There is certain there is a place. There is a place that is it's so great. It is so great. Like if I will go back to the place and remember everything that took place and bring all of that back, people we trying to get to that place like right away.
That's probably that's probably why we don't know, right?
Is you talking about this place? I want to go.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you.
So it's just a good thing to share, especially with those that may be sick or have a loved one that's passed on. I can relate to those feelings.
Right. Well,
And I can tap into letting them know about my experience so they can have some form of comfort and closure. And just to know that after this life, there is a place.
and
You know,
there's love. And there's love.
Love. Girl, there is love to infinity.
It's fantastic.
It's love to infinity.
Now,
And
Shawnise, if people want to get in touch with you, I mean, or watch your videos, give us some contact. Do you have any contact information that you want to give out?
I do. So on all the social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
YouTube, as long as you do type in author Shawnise Channell, you will find me.
Okay.
My website is www.ShawniseChannell.com. That's a way to contact me as well and to get the book. Barnes and Nobles has the book. Target, Walmart, Walmart has it. There's a lot of places that has found the book and picked it up.
Don't it just blow your mind, like when you're in Walmart and you see your book?
I don't, but that it's not directly. Only stores that it's directly in is Barnes and Nobles right here in my
town. Yeah.
But it's all online when it comes to Walmart, Target, Books A Million.
Yeah.
Those other large places, even the airport, I believe it's called the Hudson Group, they picked it up as well.
Oh, God bless.
So it was just amazing to me. And I was at my psychiatrist and I just put in my name, whatever. It was like Barnes and Nobles picked up my book.
I know, they picked my book up too. I have to say, I'm going to brag a second. I wrote a book a few years ago called Wake Up, The Universe is Speaking to You, and you can check it out. But Barnes and Noble picked mine up too. And that was a big deal. Yeah. And so I know how you feel. It's like, wow, I kind of made it because I made it into the bookstore. You know what I mean?
Barnes and Noble is like all over, like it's global, right?
I know. It's so cool. Now, what are you going to do? So before we get out of here today, we got a couple more minutes. What are your plans for the future?
So my plans is just to do more speaking engagement. Is to do more advocating for women health. Because I know that from my experience going to the hospital, keep on voicing that something is wrong and advocating for yourself and know the risk, because I did not know the risk of a tubal ligation. My first surgery, I just didn't know. And so the future is open for me. It's pretty open. It's just continue just to share my story all over the world. And so whether it be at a church, convention, conference, book signings, girl, I'm all over, honey.
I love it. I love it. Look at you and look how happy you are and look how joyful you are. I mean, I have to say. Shawnise, thank you for coming on the show. This is a big deal. I mean, I read this and I did tell you, like halfway through it, I was just crying because you went through so much. And to see you today, I was looking forward to meeting you after I read this because, well, yeah, because you've just been through so much and you've come out and look at the smile on your face and the joy you have in your heart. And it's just amazing. So I just want to thank you for writing it. And thank you for coming on the show today. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I had a good time.
Cool. Awesome.
They're And just make sure you share my story and just have hope and faith and know that, God is real. Connect yourself to the energy and love. And as long as you have love, you can make it there.
God
Just as
bless. God bless. Yes. All right, you guys. The book is God Within the Lily. This is what it looks like. It's by Shawnise Channell. You guys, we're going to get out of here for today. Thanks for joining us. This is Nancy. You're out. This is High Road to Humanity. Everybody have a terrific week, and we'll see you next time. And God bless. Please join me next time on the High Road with stories full of love and hope for our future. You can find High Road to Humanity on TogiNet Radio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now watch the High Road on BINGE TV networks. My channel is High Road to Humanity. Have a blessed week, and know by staying on the High Road, you will make it to your destination. For a psychic empath reading, visit my website, nancyyearout.com, to book your date and time with me. I will deliver your messages from the angels, and God bless.